Thanks, guys. I hope everyone is still awake. I'm Peter from Mithqal, one of the co-founders, and you may figure by the name that it has some Middle Eastern name, right? Middle Eastern taste to it. So basically, Mithqal is an ancient standard of gold, and that's exactly what we aim to be, a gold standard in blockchain digital asset compliance. And our vision is to actually build a like of an investment bank, but to do it a completely distributed and digital way. Okay? And we actually do it solution by solution, so that's definitely a big undertaking. So we actually have been bootstrapping in stealth mode with a couple of projects for the last year, and now we are coming to the open kind of with our next solution. So speaking about the markets, is as you can see, the whole capitalization of the crypto markets currently is several orders of magnitude from the capitalization of the traditional finance, which is the big money, and we focus on that. And even though the growth rate is impressive but decreasing for the crypto finance, it's still nowhere near the big money. And we don't really believe that it is really going to take it over in a couple of years. I'm much more a believer that it is going to fuse into it. And that is going to happen when the entry barrier is going to be lowered. And the entry barrier currently is high because of three things, I think. One of them is that it's still quite technical, so you actually have to understand much of it or trust much of it to get into it. The other is that it's very fragmented, hundreds of different currencies, different kinds of wallets, different kinds of services with all of them. It's quite a lot to comprehend, especially as an outsider or especially as a finance person. And the third is being the access point. So you don't have a simple access point to it that the traditional banks are. So that's actually what we are trying to take on, and our mission is to lower this barrier, and we do it step by step. And that's why we created OneVault, which is a digital asset custody solution, which is quite important for the institutional investors, big global banks, family offices, ultra-high net worth individuals. And most of the guys want to get into this game, are very interested, because I think the crypto market is finally shaking off the offsprings, the Wild Wild West feeling, the ICOs that then go into scandals. So we are kind of stabilizing in the blockchain and crypto world. And now everybody's interested to get into it, but it's still missing the entry point. So, and why this is, I think, is because blockchain essentially is just a database, right? So even in the 18th century, if you created a list of transactions and you also created the running balance, you achieve the same as blockchain. Even if you change one number, the balance won't be good, the running balance, so you can pinpoint where is the fraud. And blockchain is on a very high level for this. And what we have created on top of this is our own protocol is able to deliver all the business logic, all the possible operations only in smart contracts. So we had to extend our smart contracts to be able to abstract all the different requirements that are required in the traditional finance, the traditional legal words. So basically we encode all of the financial and legal requirements in the requirements of our blockchain, all the roles, and we put all the smart contracts and all the roles also on the blockchain, so they also cannot be changed in a fraudulent way. And that is actually going to create a system which cannot be frauded, and that can be easily trusted. And actually, coming to this point, to be able to offer the digital custody, we already had to come up with a couple of additional pieces to this puzzle. And one of them is one ID, which is kind of the bridge between the traditional, the physical world and the digital world. So we actually have a remote, fully electronic KYC solution to identify the real-world entities and to bring them into the digital world. And then we have created a real-world asset digitization solution, which now we primarily apply for real estate, but it's ready to be applied for other real-world assets as well. And it also upholds a compliance structure between the real world and the digital world. And now we offer a platform to take custody of all of these and additional existing digital assets. And then the next step is going to be LongHash, is to round it off with an investment dashboard. And basically, talking about the custody, which is the current step in our roadmap, we are setting up technically a super node, which is all of the foundational services technically that provide the network. And then we are also probably taking on other super nodes. For example, the institutional custody agents, one of the global banking groups we are talking to currently. And then we are also going to provide end user or customer services from our own portals. And of course, they will provide the same in a white label way to their customers. And then we are also onboarding a couple of asset owners, currently mostly in the GCC region, who already have billions of assets that they want to digitize. And then there comes handy our already existing real-world asset digitization framework. And then we are already working with a couple of family offices who just want to use this as like an institutional customer. And I think the real power of our solution as compared to the competition is that we actually create a network of collaborators. So you don't have to trust a single party to uphold the network, the solution, because even if anybody falls off the train, it is going to be still upheld. Looking at the competitive landscape, of course, everybody has a chart like this, right? So we are the best. But I would like to just highlight 3 important points. One of them is decentralization here. So the one thing that almost nobody has really focused on is decentralization, and that is actually which is provides the typical traditional blockchain kind of trust, is that there is a network where the network itself has so many players that you cannot just throw the network. So the customers and the partners don't just have to put that trust into you, but they can be sure that the whole of the network is going to provide a source of trust. Another important point is integrated services. If you look at all of our competition, they are quite a rudimentary custody-only solution, hardly integrated with anything. So that's kind of good, and that's why we decided to first go with the identification, to first go with the digitization, and then offer custody, and then later round it up with the rest of the investment administration services or fund administration services. And the third is ethical finance. So in this part of the world, but especially in the Middle East, you know, it's very important that you can also do Islamic finance, or at least your solution is aligned with that. And if you look at all of the competition, they are almost all based out of the US or UK and have no focus for this side of the world. And also with the current president of the US, it is actually less and less of a market where you can base your single focus of trust on. And that's why we are actually operating across Europe, Middle East, and Singapore. That should be enough for distributing the trust geographically as well. Okay, so to recap it, we have the demand. I think the regulators are getting there, and we actually want to go ahead and influence them how we get there. And security, we have an inherent security that comes from our technology solution. I will go to this side. So basically, we started by digitizing real-world assets. Now we are here providing digital custody for our own digitized assets as well as the other existing assets. And then we will round it off on the roadmap with the digital fund administration services. The current team, tech team, is quite different from the typical teams is because we really come from the industry. We have been doing what I would say traditional fintech is that other ways, non-blockchain, non-crypto ways of transforming financial institutions in the last 15 to 20 years. And we actually use this to create solutions that are comprehensible and easily usable. So you just go to the innovation lab of this bank or that family office, and they will instantly get what we're providing. So we don't have to gap a huge distance between the crypto world and them, because we already designed this for them. And where we are at is we are finishing up the bootstrapping period, and we are looking to raise an initial 5 million of funds in private placement, and then we take it from there. And yep, so by 2024, we really expect to have approximately 160 billion under management, making over $1 billion in revenues. So that is Mithqal, and then I'm open to your questions. Antai?
Thank you. In your competition slide, I mean, you list out guys like Coinbase and Itbit and Gemini as your competition. But isn't your real competition guys like Goldman and Boney Mellon and JP Morgan getting into the custody space?
Yes and no. So these are the crypto players, and they are the traditional finance. But we really, so we are not offering an institution providing the custody services. We provide a technology, and we design a network, and we are actually offering them to jump on board and become one node or super node on our network, instead of spending a lot of investment to come up with a similar technology and spending a lot of time to market. So if you ever work with banks, time to market and commercialization time is really, really important for them. So if they come with us, they look out not to lose 12 to 18 months on that.
But I mean, if I'm one of these traditional family offices or high net worth individuals that you're talking about, I want to walk into Goldman Sachs, and I want to, like, I'll be willing to put my my funds in their custody because I trust them, because they have institutional banking and so forth. It's going to be a high barrier to ask them to put this into this kind of new decentralized network where they don't even know where their money is being stored.
Yes, they do. So one of the important parts of blockchain is the transparency, and of course they will keep their actual customer data on the blockchain encrypted, but where it is actually in the custody is transparent as usual. That comes with the blockchain. Basically, what they get is, like, if you are Citibank, if you are Morgan Stanley, if you are JP Morgan, you will go out and buy a technology solution, or you will build it with an in-house development team anyhow. So we are just providing a ready-to-go solution like that, and they can still say, this is the JP Morgan, I don't know what, or this is the Citibank, whatever they want to call or brand their digital custody solutions. We are actually very much open to white labeling it for them, as well as providing direct services to the consumers, or commercials in that sense. And actually, that's why we want to onboard them, is because they already have a customer base, we have a solution, so why not work together?
So in this chart, you mentioned the security tokens. So you're also supporting security token right now. So what kind of specific preparation are you doing?
Yeah, so actually, these are mostly custom houses. So I told you the current players are pretty rudimentary. Only a few of them is just starting to support ERC20. So it's in quite an early stage. And in the first year, we are shooting to have a bridge between the 5 major public networks. So I mentioned we have a custom network which has a lot higher level functionality and a lot more compliance. So basically, we will still retain this primary network, but we will hook it up with 5 public networks. And in the first year, we will only support the ones, the digital assets that can be traded on these networks. But later on, we will expand. And I think the market will also clean up. So we will see in a year which are the ones which we still have to onboard.
Last question. What's your core technologies for decentralized custodian?
Okay, so
What's
some of the technology is proprietary. We have open source pieces that we use. So for example, we use Raft, for example. We use the NUTS technology for communication between the nodes. But the actual smart contract technology based on this, which is actually guaranteeing that compliance and governance is always in place and you just cannot fraud it. So with traditional applications, you just write a program code, and if somebody gets into your program code and puts in a backdoor, blah, blah, blah. So we have this business logic in smart contracts on the blockchain. So this is inherent in the technology to make it impossible to defraud the business logic and the rules that have to be upheld.
So yeah, sounds like some token economy design to incentivize the decentralized, not use technology to. I don't because yeah, decentralized custodian. I think basically the several method, some multi-signature, some smart contract based on. I heard about the scheme design on Plasma to use Plasma to do a decentralized custody. So I don't know what's your basic thesis.
Actually, most of the technology and most of the understanding is coming from traditional finance landscape. So in the traditional banking, in traditional custody, you used to have databases and financial systems and an audit logs and a lot of legal guys and financial guys going through and auditing all the data that everything is still in compliance. And basically, already 5 years ago, a couple of institutions started to replace these database plus program system plus auditing with a single piece that can do a blockchain where all the rules are upheld by smart contracts. And basically so as I showed you, we got a couple of different technical teams, like the platform team and the blockchain team and some others from the front end. So basically this part of the solution, the platform, the blockchain platform, is growing out of this requirement. So it actually used to be an in-house tool, and the same concept is applied, but we also made sure that we can actually use it in a distributed network, where whichever part of the network is falling out, we still have the whole record and the whole custody.